As always, we appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts, as well as rating us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
Okay, what's the factual number that, correlates to that? So he's a perfect example of a guy that, we had seen perform in game, and then you get him in a showcase and it's like, all right, like he's a real guy to follow. And the fact that he's only at 2029, super exciting. And New Trier's got a bunch of guys to follow. They had a couple guys there at the event.
All right, welcome back to episode 57 here of the Bullpen. Coming off the Super Bowl weekend, Seahawks won that one, and then also the O'Hare Preseason ID up there at the Bow Dome in Bensonville. So big event there for us. I don't know, guys, what was it, over 140 guys in that territory maybe? And then upcoming this weekend, we have the McHenry Preseason ID, the Lake Zurich Preseason ID, which is a new event this year, and then the Lockport Preseason ID, and then down in St. Louis on Saturday, we have the St. Louis Preseason ID. So a lot going on this weekend as well, but I think today we'll talk through some prospects from O'Hare, some Super Bowl stuff, Super 60 notes, and some college baseball news that starts this weekend as well. So what do you guys got?
Well, we'll also, on Monday, we're 2 events, same day, we'll be in Chicago as well at the Pullman Center, running that one. And then Saturday, we've got 2 events, on that day up there in McHenry. We'll run the McHenry Rising Stars. We got about 50 right now for that. And then on top of that, we'll run a high school event that's always a good one and produces a ton of names. I would say, we just got through, like you said, the O'Hare Preseason ID, one of the biggest standalone winter events that we run, but this weekend coming up will be the most guys on one weekend that we'll run through, and it'll be busy. We'll see a ton of guys. This is a huge weekend for us, and really looking forward to it.
We were kind of talking offline, but the weather's finally starting to turn a little bit, and we were, I think, all in agreement that it's probably just fake spring, but with the weather change, like, it got me excited. Like you mentioned college baseball starts this weekend across Division I. But for MLB, like, pitchers and catchers report this week. Like, I know I've been seeing a bunch of tweets and stuff from my team and everything, so that's got me excited. But it's pretty crazy. Like, as soon as the Super Bowl ends Sunday night, like, you just see all these, like, MLBs tweeting out, like, our turn, and whatnot. So it's pretty crazy how quick I feel like it sneaks up, but I'm ready for baseball, and this weather's certainly helping with that.
Speaking back to the events quick, I think I mentioned that St. Louis is on Saturday. I believe it's Sunday the 15th, right? It's Sunday the 15th, I believe. I might have messed that up. I think I said St. Louis is on Saturday, but I believe it's Sunday the 15th. Is that correct? That Sunday is the 15th?
It's the 16th.
The 16th? Okay.
Which is actually that Monday when we're running 2 events up here in Chicago. So yeah, we'll have Lockport going on, we'll have Chicago, and then we'll have Kevin Mulder and a big contingent of the Missouri crew running that St. Louis preseason ID. So there's going to be a lot of Illinois guys coming through the system. Should be a really good weekend.
Yeah, all right. So Tyler, go ahead.
One other thing, I think I'll be alone here, but also NASCAR starts up this weekend, which I'm pretty excited about. Like I said, I know I'll be alone there, but Daytona 500 will be going on Sunday, but I'll probably be missing that with our Lake Zurich event. But that's another thing that I'm kind of excited about and looking forward to is the NASCAR starting up. But like I said, I'll probably be alone there.
Okay, because Lake Zurich, this is the first year we're running it up there, and at the MVP Academy, and we've got already about 50 guys signed up, so really good start to a first-year event, and get into a new area, new venue, and, let alone NASCAR going on at the same time. I'm glad some guys are willing to miss that to get to our event, so appreciate you guys sacrificing out there. But I didn't know you were such a big NASCAR guy, Tyler.
Well, I grew up with it, and then I kind of took a hiatus for a while because my favorite guy retired, Dale Earnhardt Jr., but yeah, it was my parents were huge into it, so that's kind of how I was raised on it. But Gavin was like making fun of me last year because I got like super back into it just randomly. And like he'd hit me up on a Sunday, like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm watching NASCAR." So, but yeah, no, I'm excited about it, but probably more excited
Hey,
for the Lake
as a
Zurich event.
as a kid, Tyler, that was a lock on Sunday afternoons for my dad to throw on NASCAR and take a nap on the couch. So that was usually like that was what I did growing up on Sundays. So NASCAR's great, yeah. All right, so looking at some college baseball stuff, Tyler, you put some of these notes in here that Illinois State goes to SEMO this weekend. Illinois goes to USF. Northwestern going to Rice. Western Illinois is going to San Francisco. Eastern Illinois is going to Florida A&M. Southern Illinois is going to Oral Roberts. Southern Illinois Edwardsville is going to North Alabama. Bradley is going to Bethune-Cookman. Did I say that right?
Bethune, yeah. Bethune-Cookman.
Illinois Chicago is going to Incarnate Word. And NIU, Northern Illinois, is going to North Carolina A&T. So I think we got all our Illinois D1 schools in there. We'll see how they do. Wishing them good luck all weekend and stuff. So we'll keep an eye out for them.
Well, and JUCO ball's already been going. It's kind of crazy. They've been playing now. A bunch of teams I've seen just getting in, multiple games last weekend down south, whether it's Millington, Tennessee, and some other spots. So we are here. It is nuts. And I know, like, you go through the Illinois teams and who they're all opening up with. I think the thing I love to follow is, like, certain colleges and stuff that we may know some coaches at and things like that. But I really am intrigued to, like, follow our Illinois guys that are, in the college landscape now. Like, there's just a couple that come to mind is, like, a Tyler Bell at Kentucky. He's getting some pretty high love in some mock drafts. You got Cooper Malamazian down at Indiana, who I don't think he's draft eligible this year, but he's a guy that had a good freshman year at Indiana. One guy that I'm following. You got Enzo Infelice making his way over to Cincinnati. Like, he was a guy that we saw on their leaderboards a ton in the fall. Like, I want to see, can he make an impact for them as a freshman? They also have some arms over there from Illinois as well, like Connor Blue and Brandon Menser. You got Kel Sefcik over there. You got Christian Michelle. So, like, just a ton of Illinois, prospects now at Cincinnati. Louisville's got a few. I think Ethan Eberle's poised to have, like, a huge spring for them. You got Austin Muzo making a statement down at Arizona State. Had a big fall for them as a freshman. Like, what kind of role can he carve out? You got Jack Bauer down at Mississippi State getting some love as a freshman. Who knows what role he'll have. Jimmy Janicki's supposed to have a breakout year at Troy, former future gamer for us from Downers Grove. And I'm missing a ton of guys.
Cam Appenzeller, Tennessee. I don't know if you mentioned him.
Yeah, what can he do? Just so many guys that, have a chance to really make a big statement at the college level and at the high level of college baseball. So really, really curious, and I'll be kind of, keeping my pulse on that, and I really look forward to seeing those guys. And Colin Jennings is another guy at Illinois that's been getting some love. I want to say he went there as, like, kind of a lightly recruited. He was underrated as far as, like, we were concerned with our rankings from a prep baseball standpoint, and all he's done is gone there and gotten better and produced and gotten an opportunity. So just a bunch of stuff there, Gavin, that I love to shout out here going into the first weekend of the year.
I mean, Jack Bauer also predicted to win Freshman of the Year, right, according to D1 Baseball. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's that time of year,
right?
Yeah.
Like, out of all college baseball, and he was probably maybe one of the top prospects to make it to campus.
I think he was number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like him and
with
Appenzeller.
Like Appenzeller right behind. Yeah,
Okay.
Appenzeller was like 2 or 3 maybe. But no, it's the time of year. We knew the ESPN Plus. It's I'm excited to get locked into college baseball. This is going on year 6 for me with prep baseball. So, like, it's pretty much like every year of college baseball that is, like, eligible, I've, like, probably scouted or seen someone at that age. So it'll be cool, especially with, like, how the Illinois kids are, the recruiting's gone so much, more national than it's ever been before with, like, the portal and whatnot. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to, throw on the TV, get, like, the Foursquare going, watch a few games. But no, it should be cool.
You mentioned the portal. Like, it's crazy how I'll randomly be looking at a college roster and I'll see Illinois guys, that I had no idea they were now on that roster. They had committed somewhere completely different out of high school. It has totally changed in that regard.
So looking at the Super Bowl stuff from Sunday, obviously Seahawks won. Personally, I thought it was kind of a boring game. Obviously heavy defense. Patriots didn't have a very good game. Like the Seahawks, I feel like were just rushing Drake May and got by their O-line, so like he couldn't really do much. MVP, I believe Kenneth Walker, right, was the MVP of the game. He was a stud for the Seahawks. I don't know if you guys had anything on the game, or if you want to touch on it at all. If not, we can talk commercials.
I thought the Patriots defense, actually, those backs were kind of flying all over the place. I thought that was the only positive you could take away from them. Seeing the people like trashing Drake May, it's like I'm as big of a Caleb fan as there can be, but like it was one game, dude. Like he'll be fine. Like he's not, and like people are already saying Caleb's like better than him. Again, I love Caleb Williams. I would redraft Caleb Williams ahead of him. I think his ceiling is higher, but like we can chill with those comparisons right now. You know what I mean? Like he was in the Super Bowl, he had one bad game. Like he's gonna be fine.
I saw people, DraftKings came out with something that either Caleb has like a very high chance, according to like betting standards, to win the MVP, or he's like one of the most like bet on players for the MVP next year already, which that doesn't matter. We'll see what happens, but I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I don't know. How about commercials? Or Drew, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, Caleb got some sort of superstar status on Madden.
I saw that.
That's what I saw. I saw that making waves, or he had a comment on it or something. But no, I don't really have much on the Drake May, Caleb Williams. New England was a heck of a team. The turnovers were an issue. I know that for New England throughout the playoffs. So whether that's an offensive line thing or whatever, I don't know enough about their club. I respect the heck out of both those head coaches, though, for Seattle and for New England. I think Vrabel's a absolute stud, and they're going to be tough no matter what, as long as he's kind of, heading that ship over there. And excited to see what the future is for Chicago, what they do in the offseason, what kind of strides Caleb can make, and count me on the bandwagon as somebody that's hoping he's in the MVP race for next year. He certainly should have the weapons. And man, if he's continuing to progress like the way he did this year, the sky's the limit for that guy. So I think we're all huge Caleb Williams fans here, and we're just really excited to see what the Bears can do. Yeah, I didn't have much on the game though. Just kind of what you guys said. And Christian Gonzalez, Pete, I think was the one guy that stood out to me on that Patriots defense, flying all over the place. And, the Seahawks did what they did, and they didn't even really have JSN, which was pretty impressive. I thought Sam Darnold was escaping a ton of pressure early in that game and making good decisions. And, like, there were some tight windows that he was having to throw into. But, yeah, it didn't disappoint me that Drake May did not win a Super Bowl before Caleb Williams. So, I wasn't upset about that. So we'll see. Anybody from that draft class, because I know Bo Nix is there, and Jaden Daniels, and Michael Penix, and Caleb Williams, and man, it's a heck of a draft class.
How about, I don't know all the details on it, but it looks like Illinois is starting to ease up their restrictions or whatever was going on with the Bears. Like they're starting to come around, and it looks like they're going to finalize with Arlington Heights, I believe. Which respectfully, thank God. Like I did not want to have the Chicago Bears move to Indiana selfishly, but again, I don't know all the details, but I saw that making its rounds yesterday.
I didn't look a ton into this. Don't quote me on anything, but apparently Indiana's government, within the last 24 hours, came back, and now they're doing a bunch of stuff to try and even provide more benefits for the Bears. Apparently the Bears now have 2 weeks or the Illinois government has 2 weeks to figure something out.
I was going to say,
pass some law, or I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not into it a ton, but Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, be careful there, Pete, because I think this thing is far from being figured out. Just with the way it's been going, like, until they actually break ground somewhere, like, I'm not really gonna believe it. And hey, it's good for the Bears if Indiana's, throwing out these offers that it's kind of forcing the hand of Illinois. But it just blows my mind that I a lot of those pictures that were coming out and the drone shots of like that Rams playoff game and just how epic that setting is of Soldier Field and the city of Chicago. Yeah, it would be a disservice to be in Indiana. And if they do go to Indiana, they better make it the sweetest setup of all time and have, all sorts of public transportation to allow these Chicago guys to get there easily. But no, I'm very curious to see what actually comes of this down the road.
Well, I mean, I was for the Arlington Heights move, but you're right. After that Rams game, like the pictures of like just the skyline, I was like, we should just stay here. Like it looks so sick. But yeah, I mean, I'm not the one making those decisions.
Definitely a better option than Indiana, in my opinion.
It'll be easier to get to for us, selfishly, but like, I don't know. I'm just so used to them being in the city.
One thing too about the game, some Illinois touch on the game. Devin Witherspoon is a cornerback for the Seahawks. He was like a 0-star recruit out of Florida. Came to Illinois, ended up getting drafted 6th overall. I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, and he made a huge impact on that game. Couple sacks, I think. And then I think some people say that, is it PFF or something, like the rating system for like stat rating or analytics rating? Is that what it's called, PFF? They had him as like the highest rated cornerback in the NFL this year. Or like they don't trust it.
He's a stud regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a lockdown corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just going to give shout-outs to our favorite college football teams, I mean, the Seahawks long snapper went to Penn State, and they kicked like 5 field goals, not a single bad snap. So shout-out Chris Stoll, long snapper for the Seahawks, Penn State alum. So if we're just throwing stuff out there.
You on that statement, this may be my ignorance of football, but is a field goal snapper the same as a long snapper for the punter?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Same guy.
So
yep.
You're also telling me that
they were punting it incredible too. They had like a bunch of punts like within the 5 and so don't just sell that guy.
That's a good point because Mike Tirico the whole game was talking about Seattle's punter being like the best in the game, and I would have to think a good factor in that is all the great snaps he gets from that guy that went to Penn State. So I just want to throw that out there.
Putting it right in the pocket.
It's
Does
Penn State only have
the timing and the rhythm
guy in that game?
Yes, but we had multiple in the playoffs, but obviously, quite a few were on the Steelers. They got knocked out. A few were on the Bears. They got knocked out. So
Gotcha.
I know you just tried to crap on Penn State, but in turn, it kind of crapped on your own team. So,
hey, Illinois,
Illinois
has not been a good football program for really ever.
As long as we can agree on that, because
I'm not.
I don't know. Do you remember last time Penn State and Illinois played in football? I know I sure do.
I don't. I can't say that I do. So.
All right, we can move on. Yeah.
All right, commercials. Had to touch on this. You guys got any favorites? I thought the Goodwill Hunting, or whatever, the Duncan one, was really good with like Ben Affleck.
That one was kind of freaking me out. Like,
I thought it was a good commercial.
I couldn't figure out if it was AI or if it was just really bad CGI.
It was partially AI, I think, is what I saw someone say.
So if it was AI, it's already a no for me. But it was entertaining. Like, it was funny. But, sorry.
I thought it was cool.
No, I mean, you can never go wrong with the Budweiser commercials.
Yes.
I thought the one Sunday was really good.
That was electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I liked the Pepsi one with the bear, where it was like you knew that it was like, that's just like the subtle marketing, like the bear's related to Coke, and it's just like a cool little, I don't know. I'm getting it deep into my marketing minor here, but like that was a fun one for me.
I thought actually, so I've kind of been getting into F1 a little bit, racing, so a little different than NASCAR, but Cadillac unveiled their new car because they just formed a team for this year, and I know my F1 friends were not super excited about it. They thought it was going to be cooler, but I thought it was kind of cool. The car looks kind of cool and just kind of a fun commercial. Nothing crazy special about it, but I thought it was cool.
Yeah, the Budweiser one was definitely my favorite. I mean, you put any commercial to Freebird, I mean, I'm pretty bought in at that point. I love because the whole time, like, you're kind of waiting because you know the Clydesdales are coming at some point every Super Bowl, right? And this year was like so late, and I don't remember if they've all been like that, but it was like deep into the fourth quarter when we finally got that commercial because like you're waiting and you're like Clydesdale's got to be coming at some point, right? But no, that was an awesome commercial. And then they panned like right when they got to the field at the Super Bowl, there was like a bald eagle like on a Clydesdale, so that was sweet. Far and away probably my favorite one.
This might have been a stupid assumption by me, or I guess I didn't even think about it, but it surprised me, and it shouldn't have, looking back on it, how many AI commercials there were, how many different AI companies or whatever there are now. It felt like every commercial break had some sort of new AI company or website or whatever it may be, and that shouldn't surprise me, but I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, a ton of AI, like the crypto stuff too, like that karaoke commercial, and it was for a crypto company. It was like, dang, like that's not what I thought was coming at the end of that.
No Doritos commercial this year. Thoughts?
That's another one I was waiting for the whole time.
Funny.
Yeah, they're usually a staple. I don't know.
Yep.
I thought it was interesting.
But 2 Lay's commercials, like how's that work? Although some of those were pretty cool, like the first one where like the farmer's like, passing off his farm to his daughter or whatever. I thought that one was pretty cool. Some sentimental feel to that one. But yeah, I was pretty bummed there was no Doritos commercial too, Hammett.
Maybe next year we can get one of our bullpen commercials in there or something. But
yeah, no Penn State commercial this year.
Yeah. All right, well, some Super 60 notes. Caleb Cox. So Shooter Hunt released some stories after the event. One of them being a position player story, one of them being a pitcher story. And the way that he kind of worded it was kind of like the guys that made the biggest impression or biggest rise on Shooter at the event. So he did a top 10 list for both. In the pitcher story, he mentioned Caleb Cox as one of the top 10 pitchers from the Super 60 whose stock jumped. He had him ranked 10th. And then Dom Batista on the positional side was ranked as the top position player in that story. So some good notes there on a couple of our Illinois guys that attended the event. And honestly, what's cool too is, we talked about it last week, but Caleb wasn't originally invited to the event. He came to our pro case, got an invite from the pro case to the Super 60, and then, made a huge splash at the event.
No, I think it's always awesome when Shooter is, giving praise to our guys. Obviously, all of us on this call are pretty biased with our Illinois talent, and to see those guys go there, show well, not only just in our opinion, but, in Shooter Hunt's opinion, I think is awesome. But, Hammond, I don't know if you were going to say something else there.
No, just like with Dom, right? Like we've been really high on him as of late, and it's like to have him come and show out the way he did and like have people think of him as highly as we think of him now, it's just like really cool in my opinion. Like that's just the best way to say it. An Illinois kid that we've kind of seen his whole progression, right? And to have him now as this like real top few round like draft prospect is like really cool. So it's really cool to see.
So again, this past weekend on Sunday, we had our O'Hare Preseason ID. So we're going to talk through some guys from that event. Basically, I think we're going to kind of each come with topics. So like one that we each have is like our best overall prospect, favorite overall prospect, however we're going to word it. But, other things like for me, I'm going with like a favorite arm, upside sleeper, some other options we've got are like data darlings, infield standout, things like that. So we'll each come with like kind of a topic. kind of go around the horn, talk through some players. But we can start with best overall prospect. So feel free. You guys can jump in with who you got.
I've been chomping at the bit to talk about mine ever since Sunday afternoon when I saw him. But for me, it's infielder Madden Williams, 2029 out of Glenbrook North. A cool nugget there is like that is the same school as Ethan Bass, arguably one of the top shortstop prospects in the nation for the draft coming into this year, and like really cool that like, hey, here in a year or two, I know Ethan graduates this year, who knows what Madden's future is, but like a guy who can maybe take over for Ethan Bass next year at shortstop. But with Madden, like just getting into some of the specifics, like athletic right-handed hitter. For me, the thing that was just kind of blowing me away was just his advanced field of hit for that age. Like, wasn't selling out, was using the whole field in its line drives. Like, he's not trying to kill everything and just sell out for metrics. A kid that just looked like he had some genuine field of hit. He averaged 91 miles an hour off the bat, topped at 93, which for, an incoming freshman at his stature to me is very impressive. Had a peak distance of 336 feet as well. But, defensively, like, and I want to say his defense was on your field, Hammett. Like, he showed well for you over there as well. So, and he was also 82 across. So, that type of stuff tends to get better with age. So, just a guy I'm really excited to see what the future holds for him. Who knows? Glenbrook North should be a pretty good program this year. So, like, not sure if he'll get a ton of time on varsity this year, but definitely a guy I've got circled for years to come there.
I'm going to go with left-handed pitcher Tucker Sosky, a 2028 from Barrington. First thing that really stands out is just the frame. It's really long levers, wiry, 6'3", 170. You look at a guy like that at that age, on the mound, can they move well? Can they control the levers? He did that. I thought it was a really easy athletic movement pattern on the mound, up to 82, I believe, with the fastball. And then showed the ability to land the curveball for strikes in and around the zone. And I just like the upside. Like, the frame is there. I think the velo will only continue to take up. There's not a ton of, like, strength or beef on the frame. Like, he's got a lot of room to add that. So I'm just excited about Tucker's future and kind of a guy that I want to see throughout the spring and how he does this summer and moving forward.
Do you guys have multiple for this? Because if you don't, then I'm just going to rip off all three of mine in a row.
I do. I've got one more, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Ryan Wilberding as my top just overall prospect. We have him number 14 in the state, 480 in the country. We've all been really high on him for a while, right? The hit tool's always been there. He's always throwing it really well from the crouch, but he's always been strong. But he's added noticeable strength. He's 6 foot 220-ish now and like still lean, like broad shoulders, like clear strength throughout. And it was really, prevalent in his round of BP. He was all over the barrel pull side. It was hard lifted contact, consistent, like repeated it well, simple. I really liked the swing, and he was up to 106 for the EV. And I thought the defense was really good too. He threw the crap out of it up to 84 miles an hour, and the pop time was down to 189. So just a really good all around showing for Ryan. I'm excited for him this spring. Like, he's taken over Quinn Shambo's role at Libertyville, reigning 4A state champs. I know he played a big role for them last year with the bat. And he's athletic too. He ran a 6.99. So like, just profiling him forward, like he could play a corner outfield spot if he needed to. So that helps raise that prospect status a little bit. But yeah, if you want me to just keep rolling, I got two more.
Well, on Wilberding, you kind of stole it there at the end. I just want to make, like, he's committed to Marshall, came to the future games, got some love after that. And then you hit it right at the end. Like, Quinn Shambo was our player of the year last year. Helped lead an awesome staff for Libertyville, who won state. And I think Wilberding's a candidate for, like, huge breakout spring season. If we're going to do, like, a first-team All-State watch list, like, he'd be up there. Because, first off, catchers are hard to find, especially, like, defensive catchers that we think could be a number one catcher at that college level, like a Quinn Shambo. But, man, the way Wilberding swings a bat, like, the all-around tools that he has is really impressive. And it's a really good 2027 class, but he's a guy that, like, it would not surprise me if he just continues to kind of creep up that list. the way that he's trending and the way that he swings the bat. So he was a guy that, comes to O'Hare. He wasn't able to make it this upcoming, 2 weeks down the road to the preseason All-State. And like, big shout out to Ryan to get in front of us, show off the improvements he's made. And Hammett, like, I didn't really have a list of top prospects that I put down, but he would definitely be, at the top for me.
Yeah, another one of mine was right-handed pitcher Elliot Paul. He's a 2027 out of Evanston. He's uncommitted. Biggest thing with him is he's super athletic on the mound. It's a really easy mover. Last year as a sophomore for Evanston, he was all conference. He threw like 44 innings with, I want to say 40 to 42 strikeouts. He was at the same event last year. Was same good mover, but maybe up to 82. At this event, he was up to 87 with the fastball. Showed a quality slider, quality changeup, and just he made big strides. And he proved that last year he could do it in game. And I think with what he showed at this event, where the velo's taken up and the polish of the repertoire's taken up, like I think it's only you're only assuming a bigger swing for him for Evanston. And then he's 146 pounds, and he's throwing 87 miles an hour. So continue to add strength to that frame. Like, it's easy to imagine velo's going to continue to tick up as he gets more strength.
Yeah, that arm really, really worked. I watched the video. It was jumping out of the hand. I was a big fan. So I got 2 more catchers, and then I got an outfielder. So I kind of went by years. So I got a 27 catcher in Wilberding. I got a 2028 catcher from St. Viator, Hunter Lockefear, that I was a big fan of. He's another one. Like, he's been putting in some work in the weight room. You could tell he's trying to gain some weight. And he made some jumps. Like, the swing was really clean again. That's long been clean and fluid and loose. He was up to 97 for the EV, so he's adding strength. The pop time was down to 202. It was a really clean round of defense. Just an all-around fan of that kid. We know he's a performer in game. He can catch. We like him a lot. And then Chase Estrada, a new face at New Trier, 2029. He's one that we saw on the summer circuit. He's putting up some crazy EV numbers we saw on X, and then, showed well in front of our staff at the Rock and Rantoul. And then now, coming to an event, and it's he shows well in showcase setting too. He was up to 95 for the EV with a really clean swing, this intentful and loud, with some lift pull side, and the defense was solid as well, up to a 198 for the pop and up to 76 miles an hour from the shoot. So he's one to follow. I know they're really high on him with the Sparks and at New Trier. So just one to watch there as we go throughout the ranks. Drew, are you gonna hop in on him really quick?
Well, just what you mentioned with, like, we had seen him at tournaments and stuff, and it's you can get a good feel, you can get a really good feel on a player at a tournament watching them play in game. We go out to these high school games all spring long to, cross-check these guys, see how they compete, see how they handle at bats. But then to be able to get the full, well-rounded, full eval on him, getting the actual numbers to back everything up is crucial. And that's when we can really, really feel good about guys, when we can get the 60, when we can get some of the athletic testing, when we can see the blast numbers. Because it's one thing to say, oh, he shows me bat speed in game, but then you have the numbers to back it up. Or, oh, the ball really comes off his bat. Well, okay, what's the factual number that, correlates to that? So he's a perfect example of a guy that, we had seen perform in game, and then you get him in a showcase, and it's like, all right, like, he's a real guy to follow. And the fact that he's only at 2029, super exciting. And New Trier's got a bunch of guys to follow. They had a couple guys there at the event, whether it was Harry Reese is a big left physical, first base, left-handed pitcher that will be good for New Trier this year. But no, I just wanted to pop in there and mention that on Estrada.
Yeah, I mean, he's a freshman, but he's got some grown man strength in there with, like we always talk about, right, there's more room to add throughout the coming years. So he'll be a real power bat to watch as he continues to just mature. But my outfielder that I liked, Evan Steinbrummer from Hersey, 2028, he was posting some hitting videos on X, and it was getting thrown in our group chat, like, hey, this kid's coming this weekend on Sunday. We should keep an eye out for him. And I was evaling hitters, and he steps in the box, and Drew's like, oh, I like the look of this kid. And it was like, oh, this is the kid that we were throwing around the video. So, like, we love seeing that. And he showed really well. He was up to 100 for the EV, an all-around good day, right? Up to 100 for the EV, clean round of BP, could go with it to the whole field. It's flat, it's strong. And then he was a 6'8" runner to go on top of that. And he was up to 87 from the outfield. So toolsy, left-handed hitter, outfielder at Hershey. He'll be one to watch for sure.
And you mentioned it, I got to watch his round of VP. He was one of those guys that I actually was able to kind of follow and see everything he did on that day. I saw his outfield defense, and I'm kind of doing some flow at the beginning of the event, making sure guys know where they need to go. And at the same time, I'm watching outfield, but I didn't have, the scout sheet in front of me. He was a handful of guys did this, but throughout the day where I'm asking, Josh Fields, who's on eval of outfield, hey, what's the name here? What do you got? Because the way he moved, it was a natural outfielder. He played with purpose. He was attacking the baseball. It was a clean arm. The arm came out really good. I think you said it was 87. Not a surprise there, but just really like the way he flowed to the ball. You can get a feel for just what's the right way to put it? Just I could see that playing really well in game. It was like an up-tempo, athletic mover that was playing with a purpose. Which sometimes can be hard to see in a showcase, but it really stood out to me with Evan. And then, watching him swing, I thought like he did a really good job staying up the middle of the field with some lift, and he's got strength to go with it. And you mentioned the 6'8" runner. I kind of envision that in a showcase setting, like that's a center fielder, right fielder. Like he's got the arm strength to play right. And man, he moves good enough to where like I'm not gonna put it past him that he couldn't be a really good center fielder either. So great, showing for him. I thought Hershey has a couple guys that we need to get out and see. They're gonna be a high school team that we need to have a big asterisk on to make sure we go see them.
A trend on my mound was long levered left-handed arms, and that's
a good trend right there.
It is.
Sorry.
is Max Dabbs, a 2028 from Stevenson. 6'6", 210 pounds. Just again, long, wiry levers, and like Sasky, you wonder okay, is this guy going to be able to control those levers? And he did. He moved really easy, very minimal effort, up to 82 with some arm side action. Curveball showed 12-6 shape with some depth, and then he threw a splitter, and again that had some slight fade, kind of some depth to it, and killed the spin. But another left-handed arm, similar to Dabbs, there is Miles Minier, a 2027 from Friend. He's a little bit, he's 6'4", 206 pounds, a little stronger of a frame, a bigger build than these other two lefties that I'm talking about. But again, just a very easy, minimal effort delivery. Fastball was 83 to 85, up to 86 with arm side action. Uncommitted kid, just to kind of keep an eye on. So I had some really interesting left-handed arms on my mound, and I have a few more that I'll get into here in a little bit, but I'll let you guys jump in with anything you may have.
Well, Miles Minier, I saw him getting ready to throw on your mound. And he was a guy I saw last year pitching for Fremd. Fremd had a great high school season, and I think this is something we're always looking for is guys that are on that upward trend. And that is exactly what Miles is doing right now. I went back to pull up my comments from last year's game. I saw him in April. He was 6'4", 185. So he's added about 20 pounds, and he looks a lot thicker than he did. Still long levered, but with some real durable strength that he's adding. And he pitched in the upper 70s last year. So, pitched in game, showed me a lot of feel. In that game, I know went 6 innings here. He struck out 5, showed 3 pitches and was around the zone in that outing. And then to see that, okay, now he's getting into the low mid 80s, touching 86.2. Everybody's always looking for lefties. Everybody's always looking for that starter profile, multiple pitches around the zone. And then as that velo keeps, ticking up, he's going to be one to watch for sure. And I'm excited for his future. So really glad to see that velo jump there, Gav.
Then I can take us into a top uncommitted prospect. I know some of you guys got a couple guys here as well, but for me it was left-handed hitting infielder Angelo Vital out of Ridgewood. He's a 2027. It was funny, Drew bounced over to my field at one point. We started off with lefties on my field, and for a while, he was the performance that had been sticking with me. Drew's hey, who have you liked so far? And I'm like, this Vital kid out of Ridgewood, a school we don't typically hear a ton out of. And with Angelo, 5'10", 175, I really like the frame. Left-handed hitter, like I said, but it was loose. It was easy. Was creating some jump off the barrel too. Like he topped out at 97 miles an hour off the bat. And he was working line drives, working to the middle of the field, which I really like to see. Wasn't very pool happy or anything like that. And then on the infield, like very athletic, and showed a reliable glove too. So definitely a guy for schools that I think could stick up the middle at the next level. And just kind of excited to see what he does this spring, because that's a name I'm definitely going to be checking in on.
I also had an uncommitted prospect. I'm going to go with Jack McDaniel from Hinsdale South of 2027. One that we've seen, in the past. We've liked him. We like the left-handed swing. Added some strength, again, a common theme. Really like it. Big fan of the operation, the way it works. It's polished. It's easy. It's balanced. It's on the barrel. He was upper 90s for the EV. And one thing with him, like the defense, it made a noticeable jump, in my opinion, to where now the pop time's down under 2 to 197. So just an uncommitted left-handed catcher, like catchers like we talked about, a premium position. And to get one that's a left-handed hitter, uncommitted, going into his junior year, it's one to make note of for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna throw one of my arms into this top uncommitted section here. I'm gonna go with right-handed pitcher Blake Yankowski, a 2027 from York. The reason I'm throwing him in here is I think the other guys that I mentioned are kind of like, to me, they look like they're guys that have some polish still to come, whereas I felt like Blake's overall pen was just very polished. He's a 6'1", 181-pound frame, athletic with some strength throughout, but he's a really good mover, and it's a really quick arm out front. The fastball is 84 to 85, touched 86, and then he showed a really quality slider and curveball. The slider averaged 25.72 RPM, curveball averaged 24.72. Threw both for strikes. They both showed different shapes, which was impressive too. Sometimes guys say they throw a slider and curveball, but they look the same. But there was definitely a differing shape on both of those pitches. And then both of them had an average of negative IVB and horizontal movement, which again, I don't think you see that a ton when you look at the metrics on the TrackMan. So just showing that it has some pretty good shape there for both those off-speed pitches. And I thought it was, again, just a pretty polished repertoire for uncommitted 2027 there. So Blake Yankowski out of York.
We want to jump to like upside sleeper. I think all of us kind of have a guy there. And I can start. For me, it's infielder Michael Wendt, another 2029 who really impressed me on the day. He goes to York High School. 6'2", 166, kind of like a wiry frame. Don't even think he's anywhere close to what he'll be physically here in a few years. Right-handed hitter. I just really like the swing. And he scored out really well blast-wise. Like he had the 8th best average bat speed for the entire event. As a freshman, that's really impressive. He averaged 73.5 miles an hour. 15th best max bat speed at 75 miles an hour. And he also ran a 7.1 260. So just an athletic right-handed hitter I think we're going to have to keep an eye on over there at York.
I'll jump in here with Patricio Velasquez from Libertyville, a 2028 catcher. So add him to the list of just another catcher that they have. Their run's been kind of insane with Quinn Shambo, Ryan Wilberding, Weston Wizikovic, which is in the same group as a 2028, and now Patricio. I wonder if they could probably start a business of like renting out catchers for a spring if they needed to. But really upside kid. Like the frame, there's plenty more to come there. It's loose, it's wiry, and the swing pairs with that. It's loose and easy. Up to 90 for the EV, and you can expect that number to climb significantly as he continues to grow into his body and mature. But what stood out really with him was the defense. He was up to 79 from the crouch, which is very advanced for that age, and down to 194 with the pop time, and it was clean and not rushed and not cheating. So just a big fan of him, underclassman. He was kind of a mix of like an upside and a sleeper for me, because I think those numbers are only going to get better as he continues to mature.
Yeah, so at O'Hare, I was on outfielders to start the day with Josh Fields, and then we switched over to pitching on our field. And one of the guys that I saw that is an upside sleeper to me, it started in the outfield defensive portion, is Abel Diaz, a 2029 from St. Lawrence. Drew, I think you were over there and you watched his defense. He's a left-handed outfielder. and it just looked like natural outfield actions. He roamed our defensive field there with ease, like he was just moving left to right, catching good pop flies. Had a really good arm too. I don't have like the actual number of what it was, but then I had him on my mound as well. Left-handed arm, super athletic. Again, he's a 2029. The metrics aren't gonna impress you. The velo's not gonna impress you, but kind of like a lot of these guys that I've mentioned on my mound, it was just a really easy, loose operation where, in a couple of years, it just wouldn't surprise me if that velo and everything like that continues to tick up. But right now, he's got those actions. He's an athlete that did it both in the outfield and on the mound. I don't know how he was hitting-wise, but I was really impressed.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like he's the right kind of mover. It's fluid and loose and easy, and I love the outfield defense. He was another one that, like Evan Steinbruner, wanted to make sure I knew his name, where he went to school, got to see him hit as well, and it's a barrel control, loose left-handed swing that right now it just lacks a little impact. A lot of these guys, like, I think that's the thing I've been seeing so far this winter are like, man, exit velocities they're through the roof across the board. These guys now are training for exit velocity. They're hitting the balls a lot harder than they were in years past. And it certainly stands out. He's not one of those guys that's going to be a triple-digit guy. I think he's going to be a good baseball player. And even like you look at his foot speed, like that's going to need to just continue to kind of tick up as he gets older. For him to, turn into the prospect that I think he could be, because I think all facets of his game, Gavin, are just going to get better as he gets stronger and more mature.
Do you guys want to move on to Data Darling? I can start. Brady Corin from Lyons Township, 2027. He could easily be in the mix for a top uncommitted prospect for me. Just a junior, uncommitted to know. But I really like the swing. It's like what Shooter Hunt always says. It's got that tight turn in a small area, so it's clean, it's compact. And I thought it was twitchy, and he was lifting the ball with authority to the pull side up to 95 for the EV. So good EV, and then 6.74 runner, one of the better on the day. And then profiles in the outfield, and he was up to 85 from the crow hop. So just kind of all around, all the tools, the arm strength, the speed, the juice, just well-rounded prospect to know.
No, and just to touch on Brady, like that's a guy we've been seeing for a few years now, and a guy that I feel like just continues to get better. So glad to see that, continue to be the case for you on Sunday. Data Darling for me, and I promise this is the last time I'm going to go to the 2029 well, but I think that kind of speaks to the level of talent that's starting to really come through this state. For me, it's corner infielder Ryan Smith out of Bartlett. Really, like, Sunday night, I'm still buzzing about his performance. Yesterday, I'm still buzzing about his performance. Like, physical 6'2", 252-pound kid, but he's got a young look in the face. Like, this is not a kid who I think's done physically. And the impressive thing with Ryan, right-handed hitter, but he was all over the barrel in every sense of the word. He had a 100% hard hit percentage, which for those that don't know at home, like the hard hit percentage is the percentage of baseballs you hit over 95 miles an hour. So he basically did not miss a single ball during batting practice. He also led the event in average EV at 96.3 miles an hour. He had the 7th best max EV at 100.5 miles an hour. He also reached a max distance of 363 feet. And with Ryan, like the most impressive thing to me, like rewatching his video, because I want to make sure, like, was this like all or nothing? Because we see so many hitters that day. But rewatching the video, like, it's so impressive that he wasn't straight up selling out for his power. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. So just a guy that, like, man, I'm excited to see what he looks like in a couple years, because, like, not to put too high of expectations on the kid, but, like, I could see this guy turning into, like, a monster out over there at Bartlett. So just a guy I'm super excited about.
I took a look at his video as well, Tyler, and he's one that I could envision being a lockdown left tackle over there at Bartlett. Just really wide and strong, and looks like he can maybe move a little bit. And I liked the swing. It looked like he was, hammering some balls with ease. For my Data Darling, I'm going to go Caleb Prendergast. Prendergast from Evanston, one of a couple Evanston guys that was there, and I love seeing kind of a consistent theme with like a few schools that have guys that show up and then they also, show out. But he was all over the stat sheet. You roll out our stat story, you'll see his name like pretty much everywhere. He's a 2028 as well. So going into his sophomore season here, he ran a 6.7 460. He was 88 across the infield, 92 from the outfield. Led the event in outfield velo, was second at the event on infield velo. He also registered a 96 mile an hour exit velocity. Peak during BP. He's 6 foot, 164. He gives me all kinds of twitchy athlete type vibes. And really excited to see what he can do for Evanston this year. But that's a guy, when you when you check off that many boxes from a tool standpoint, like he's somebody we got to pay close attention to.
All right, so I'm gonna get back here to my favorite arms. I got 3 left here. I got a pair of Glenbrook South uncommitted 2027s. The first one being right-handed pitcher Henry Schott. Just thought it was an intriguing arm. Fastball is up to 87 miles an hour. Still has some polish to go with that off speed. But then left-handed pitcher Connor Fallon. Also, again, in 2027, it's more of a stronger body. Left-handed arm, really long and clean arm path. That was pretty easy. The fastball is up to 84. And then he's just an uncommitted arm to follow, I'd say, this spring and the rest of the year. And then right-handed pitcher Connor Sape, I believe is how you say the last name, or Sipe, out of Crystal Lake Central. He's a 2028. Just another really simple mover on the mound that showed a quality fastball up to 83. So those are some other arms that were on my mound that showed well and are guys that I'm going to keep following here throughout the rest of their high school career.
We'll talk about a segue of, high schools that we see some of their guys come to an event and show well or intrigue. And you mentioned 2 arms from Glenbrook South, and there was a third as well. A 2027 Sam Selhorst. He's 6'5", 203 pounds. The velo has just steadily been creeping up over the years, and he was up to 87. So Glenbrook South with just a trio of 27s to follow there, and we'll see if they can impact the varsity squad this spring.
I can take us into what's my final topic. I don't know if you guys have any more you want to talk on, but top infielder I saw at the event, or just infield standout, who showed the best defensively, in my opinion. It's Gavin Weston out of Hampshire, a 2028. Gavin's a guy who we've seen in prior years, and a kid who, referenced earlier, another guy who just continues to get better. I just felt like he was very confident on the infield. A ton of confidence in himself. Turning the double play, it looked very smooth, like he's done it a million times. And just showing feel for the position. Some soft hands, and a really quick release. Like, his infield velo isn't gonna blow you away by any means, but if you were there watching, he's just trying to be quick and accurate with the ball, just getting rid of the ball quick, like a true middle infielder. So just really impressed by Gavin on Sunday.
I got an infielder that I've just kind of had my eyes on for the last couple of years. Zane Schneider over at Lamont, a 2027. I think what's always stood out to me is, the projectable frame. It's 6'3", 195 pounds, and just watching the swing, it works really loose and easy. The bat stays through the zone. It looks like, he's a gap-to-gap guy, not trying to yank, balanced finish. He ran a 7.1060. He was 83 across the infield, 97 mile per hour peak exit velocity. He averaged 88 off the bat, and those numbers should only increase as he gets more physical. He's got a ton of room to grow as far as physicality is concerned. And he's one that I'm kind of eyeing for Lamont this spring, maybe a breakout type candidate. And thought he had a good showing over there at O'Hare as well.
One thing I just wanted to mention was, on Monday we released the stat story from O'Hare, so take a look at that. A lot of big numbers from the event, and then keep an eye out on our Twitter for some spotlight tweets from the event. Probably going to be quite a few guys coming out from the event, and then our quick hits will be out probably today at some point. They might already be out at the time of the recording. And then data dives here later in the week. And then, this weekend, again, like we mentioned at the beginning, huge weekend for us with a ton of players coming through really all across the state. So should be a good one to see these guys.
And
Yeah, and to
go
add
ahead,
to
Tyler.
that, like
Yeah.
there's going to be a ton more guys we talk about in those quick hits. So please check those out. Especially if you think we left you out. Like we tried to be a little bit more intentional with how we talked about guys this week, but there's going to be so many names in that quick hit stock. Like I know me and Hammett were kind of going crazy in there, and Gavin as well. So feel free to check that out on the website.
Well, and it speaks to just how good that event was. Had it close to 150 prospects, and some quick just number breakdowns. There were 17 guys that run a sub 760. There were 11 guys that posted 100 plus EVs, exit velos. We had 28 guys that had 97 or better exit velocities as well. So I think it's, on the podcast, we want to give love to guys that really stood out to us, made an impression while we're there at the event. And then as we look through the numbers that we put on guys, the actual numbers they put up, the grades, the notes we had, really get more into it in the quick hits. And then even after that, like to piggyback off that, once we get all the videos into profiles, we look over all of our notes, we watch the videos, and we'll rank this event. Hey, top catchers, top infielders. That's when we really, really dive in. And we may miss a guy on quick hits, and after we watch the video and we're cross-checking them for these rankings, it's like, okay, he really stood out to me. Oh, I really like the action on the infield or the swing. And, maybe I looked down for 1 second during hitting and it just, I missed a couple swings. So we try to get the full picture through this whole process, and just a really, really good way to kind of not kickstart, but just really continue this strong winter that we've had going, coming off the Pro K Super 60. Got to see a ton of guys at O'Hare, and more to come this weekend.
And then just a reminder, at the high school coaches convention in December, we interviewed a bunch of the high school coaches from around the state. So let's get into that interview with one of the coaches from the event.
All right, we're here at the IHS BCA convention. We're joined by Chris Erwin, the head coach of Phorm McGivney. Appreciate you hopping on, Coach.
No, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So looking back at last year's team, what was something that was so special about that group? Like what made them kind of who they were, I guess?
That's a great question. I think that it's the collection of kids, the group of guys that have played together since day one, and their commitment to wanting to be the best team that they could be. I think they just enjoyed being around each other. So we did a lot of things together, whether it be in the off season, in season, a lot of team building stuff, and the group, the guys that were the leaders of that team, were always leading those events too, and always pushing us to do. I mean, it could be paintball, it could be watching the NCAA tournament. It didn't matter what it was. They just always wanted to be together, and I think that makes for a really good group when your guys really genuinely like each other and they want to be around each other all the time.
Yeah, and you're talking about those leaders. You guys are consistently pumping out Division I talent and JUCOs and Division II and all these. What makes your program so special in terms of developing those type of players?
I think it's a lot of the things that we talk about are don't create a new path, extend the path. Right, so that first group of guys we had with, Gabe Smith and Daniel Gear and Jackson Rogers that are all competing high-level baseball at the Division I level, they're around the program a lot. They want to come back and talk to the kids. They want to come back and tell them what the workouts look like. And I think that the fact that they're still engaged with the guys, whether it be through social media or whether it be when they're back in town for a holiday, just wanting to have lunch with us or do things, that part helps us connect the past to the future. And I think for those guys to want to be a part of the program moving forward, they're invested in us having not just one good team, but having a recognizable program throughout the state. And now the guys that we have now that really didn't play with those guys, right? I mean, they were freshmen like Isaac and Ben, and those guys were freshmen when Gabe and Jack and Daniel were seniors. They still talk all the time. They still engage with each other and talk with each other. And so I think that commitment to the consistency of what we do, I've never seen guys so committed before to improve little bitty parts of their game. It's not an afterthought. It's coming in and making sure that they're getting their work in. Our older guys are constantly working with our young guys, right? So that group of seniors with, Ben and Isaac and Scott Phelps and Ty Etchison, those four key seniors this year, they're working with the freshmen and the sophomores, which I think is really unique in high school. To see as engaged as those older guys are with those younger group to make sure they're the next wave of kids is super important.
One thing we always talk about your guys' program is you're always in the regular season playing 3A, 4A schools and scheduling these bigger programs when you're at 1A, 2A school at times. How important is that for you guys to play 3A, 4A schools early in the year?
Really important. I think it's critically important. It's good to push ourselves against programs that are deeper, that are better, that are bigger, and see where we fall. I think they do things the right way. They're consistent in their play, and they're going to push us to be the best that we can be. So I think it's super important. But at the end of the day, there's lots of programs that are really good regardless of size, and that's who we want to play. We want to try to play the teams that are going to push us regardless of size, regardless of where they play. It's also the styles. Their styles of play are different. We want to push ourselves. We played Highland last year, which was a really good program, but they play a different style of game. And Coach Hawkins bunts a lot, and I think that got us ready for seeing different opponents in the playoffs too. So you want to play different opponents that they're going to push you in different ways, and just thankful to be able to play that schedule too.
You touched on Ben and Isaac earlier, as well as Scott and Ty. What do you see the impact on those guys going into next season?
Yeah, I think that they're going to have to play different roles, not so much from a production standpoint, but we had a great senior class last year in that group. Ben and Isaac were captains last year with Drew and Cannon. So making sure that they embrace that leadership role, making sure they embrace the role of teaching the younger guys. I like those four guys a lot. I think that they're close. We talk about that a lot in our program. Family a lot of times is something that people throw around on T-shirts just for good publicity, and we try to believe it in our program, right? We try to make sure that those guys are worried more about the front of the jersey than the back, if that makes sense. Again, that's very cliche. But we want to make sure they embrace it. And I think, those guys are really important to our program. They played for a long time, right? Especially Isaac and Ben, who have got a lot of playing time really early. Isaac's been a starter for us since day one, really, as a freshman. I mean, oddly enough, he replaced Gabe Smith at first base, but Gabe was still in our program. He supplanted him as our first baseman and did a great job as a freshman, and I think that was really important for him and really important for our program at the time. So to say that they're, not important to our program or not going to have a huge impact on our program would be very short-sighted, in my opinion. Yeah, for me to say that.
All right. What's your favorite thing to do in the Glen Carbon and Edwardsville area?
Most people would say that they always see me on the field, and that's probably true. It's my home field. That's my favorite place to be in Glen Carbon. But it's fun from that area, right? I'm a Metro East guy, born and raised, played there, played at Southern Illinois. So, I think there's some really cool spots in the area that I'm kind of very fun. I've lived all over the country, through baseball and coaching at college and stuff, but that's my home. So my favorite place is on my own baseball field.
Well, Coach, I think that'll wrap it up for us. Really appreciate you hopping on, and good luck the rest of the year and in 2026.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, that'll wrap up episode 57 here of the Bullpen. As always, we appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts, as well as rating us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
And it's not too late to get out to an event. We love seeing guys. It's been awesome so far this winter. Saw a bunch at O'Hare, saw a bunch at Aurora. Obviously, the Pro Case Super 60. Like, make sure if you want to get in front of us, if you want to have a chance for us to, highlight you on the podcast or quick hits, pump out your video via social media, update those stats, the video, like get to something. It's not too late. We've got a bunch coming up here, especially when you think about Lake Zurich, Chicago, Lockport, all here in the next few days. We want to see guys making jumps, and we want to start building our follow list for the spring. So on top of that, always make sure you rate, subscribe, click, do all that good stuff, and appreciate you guys listening.